Hard Rockology Show, Chris, Matt, and Jason. Let's continue the interview with Marc Storace of Krokus.
So was that something because Chris didn't want to go in that direction and he was fighting it?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
And you guys are basically taking the side of maybe we should do what the record labels want us to do. Maybe we will sell 3-4 million albums.
Yeah, let's give it a try. See what happens.
I mean, because as I said, you reach a point where you're so much in the machine that, I mean, basically our management should have let us take 2 months, 3-month breaks between albums instead of, a month's break. Everyone goes back home and you don't gain enough objectivity. So you're in the machine and there's all this promotion going on for other bands. You're looking around you, who's in the charts and everything. What do people want? A lot of other bands have changed,
Yeah, I wouldn't say Krokus is the only band that go down this road. I mean, a lot of the bands in the 80s, the heavy metal bands, they all did the same thing.
Yeah, not every album sounds the same. I mean, I don't think there's one band I can mention, beginning from the Rolling Stones to the Pink Floyd, Beatles. Everybody had their influences, and every year you didn't know what to expect. It was a surprise and everything. But once you were a fan, I mean, I still have loads and loads of fans on Facebook telling me Change of Address was the best album we ever did. And in our opinion, that was, we regard it as a flop, although sales those days were much better than today, Well, if you compare the numbers, there was no black market, there was no piracy, there was no downloading, and we were selling vinyl, and it was at the beginning of the CD, right at the beginning of the CD and the CD player.
Yeah, exactly. The only place you can get a record was either a CD at the record store. You couldn't go online and get it downloaded for free. But you make a good point with Change of Address. That was probably one of my favorite Krokus albums also. So I guess there
you go. Yeah.
Because I like the songs on that album a lot. I loved Say Goodbye. Yeah. I loved what you guys were experimenting and doing with.
In my opinion, when we were in Solothurn doing pre-production for Change of Address, that means making demos, and the demos which we wanted to present to the producer, they sounded much better than the end production, because the end production, I'll say it again, I don't care. I got a lot of shit for saying this way back in the 80s in the press. The production was over polished. It was too polished, and Krokus should never be too polished. Krokus needs a little grit, a little dust on it, and that's how the demo sounded. So if you take these same songs, and you said you liked the songwriting on that, imagine if you hear these songs with a raunchier sound,
I would love to hear these songs with a heavier sound to it, and I think that'd be really cool if maybe you incorporated some of them into your live set. Since a lot of people love this album.
I doubt it. I very much doubt that this band will ever play anything from those albums, because it was like some guys still have a bitter taste. Even I doubt it, but we have such. One of our biggest problems now, before going on tour, and even before we did this repertoire set list for Long Stick Goes Boom, the live album, which we're selling now, is what to leave out, what to put in. What should we give our fans? There's going to be fans which are disappointed because we didn't do this or that number, and there really is no way out of this, and I don't think any band in the world has found a way out of this situation. There's always going to be somebody who's frustrated because he didn't play one of their favorite numbers, and maybe you played one other number which they could have done without,
Yeah, that's always the case with a huge catalog, though.
It is the case. It's the case with a huge catalog, and not to mention there's been a couple different formations of Krokus where Chris hasn't been in the band.
And you could see why certain guys would want to play certain songs. I mean, Chris isn't going to want to play anything off a Change of Address. There's no way he's going to want to do that. So we get that part of it.
And that's why, I'm happy and I feel honored that the guys in my band are happy playing Hellraiser, because it was only Mandy and myself involved on that album from today's crew, And so it's great. And it's only because that song holds up with the rest of them that it's on the set list and on the live album. Otherwise, it would have been kicked out too.
I have a question for you, and I'm not going to delve into AC/DC. I mean, it's already common knowledge that they asked you to audition for the band, and you turned them down for what I think the right reasons, because at that time Krokus was trending, popular, and all that. So I understand that. But one of the remarks that I heard in an interview that you did was that you also auditioned for Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. Is that true?
Yeah. But this was before Krokus.
Exactly. I was going to ask, what was that like? Because at that time, Richie Blackmore...
Yeah, what was the Man in Black really like?
Well, very quiet, actually. Very quiet, and, I got a couple of smiles, and for me, he was too quiet and mysterious, actually. I would have liked to have a more direct sort of fist on the table approach. Look, this is what we want, this is what we expect from you, rather than letting me, because, I have a lot of influences and a lot of possibilities, which I can give as a singer. I grew up listening to soul music, went through the whole, and okay, the Rainbow repertoire should tell me, you might say, but I didn't know which direction they wanted to go, if they wanted to deliver the same, Man on the Silver Mountain and stuff. In fact, they didn't later on. The next single was Since You've Been Gone, I mean, that's real poppy, and they went for that guy. I had, somebody gave me a hint. They told me Richie likes blues. He's after a blues singer. So I kind of increased the register in that direction. And I enjoyed being around Roger Glover and Don Airey, two guys whom I still meet regularly when Deep Purple is around town. And, but Destiny had it. See, I didn't get the audition with, I got the audition, but not the job with Rainbow. And returned to London, and then joined Krokus. And a year later, I was touring the States with Rainbow as an opening act for Rainbow, or maybe 2 years later.
That's interesting.
It was like, well, a funny situation, and I was really pleased about that.
Now, another thing, too, and one of the things I'll say, I always thought you to be a very versatile singer as far as the way you basically sing and stuff, and I think your approach, I mean, you're just over 30 right now, let's just say that, and you sound as good as you did in the late 70s as you do now. So vocally wise, I mean, whatever it is that you're doing is phenomenal. And I know most people will know you from Krokus. I know you also had a stint, a couple albums doing Bliss, which was some interesting stuff, some very melodic stuff. But one of the things I want to ask you about is you also delved into a little bit heavier metal type of thing with the Warrior album. So was that something? Yeah. Was that something that you just did? Yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and try to do this and what? Because to me, it showed me how versatile you really were as a vocalist.
Well, that's it. I love trying out new stuff, And when Warrior called me, we started writing via internet, writing lyrics, sending melody ideas and stuff. And we put the puzzle together. I flew in, we warmed up in stuff done real fast and painless. You know, it was really for me, it was a nice holiday from the rest of the stuff that I had been doing. And I think then we had Rock the Block in the charts, you know, gold in Switzerland. And yet I took the offer and joined the guy. I was dying to get back to California and hang out a little bit in LA thanks to that at the same time. And I felt real good. It was a working holiday for me. And what turned out, I still look up to it. You know, I didn't want to go the same direction that the majority of singers in doing that kind of music go. You know, where like, oh, trying to be like a monster from the deep. You know, trying to sound like a bad guy. But I went in another direction. I increased a little bit of the growl with certain emotions, which I increased to fit into this kind of music and those kind of lyrics, you know. And I was happy with the result, and so were they. So I guess we reached our goal.
It sounds like it. So that's the band Warrior. Chris and Matt talking with Marc Storace of Krokus. And Mark, Matt and I kind of want to know favorite album you ever did with Krokus. I mean, I'm guessing it's got to be Headhunter.
Well, yeah, it's the nail on the head. I felt happy as a pig in shit doing that album. It was sensational. We did that in the old school way, and it actually reminded me of recording the first 3 albums in my life when I had just started in the early 70s being a professional singer in a professional band with a record contract with a producer. And we recorded up in Cologne in Germany with Dieter Dierks. He was the discoverer of the band
Scorpions, correct.
And he took T, we were called TEAT, a progressive rock band from Switzerland. And I remember we all had different boots, you know, glass boots with doors which we could close and put on our earphones, and so the sound did not seep into the drummer's microphones in the middle of the big room. And this was exactly how we had set it up for Headhunter in Orlando at the BJ recording studios. I still remember everything like it was 1 week ago. And I really enjoyed it. You know, doing special sound effects, dropping a beer bottle on the floor.
I stayed awake all night.
Intentionally for stay awake all night. And, yeah, funny stuff like that. That was... And the album, I think this was also at the peak of my singing abilities, you know, bringing out blood-scorching screams and stuff like that, which I, to this day, don't know where they came from. And I guess it was because I was on such a natural high, you know, that I could do that, and physical fitness and stuff like that.
So I guess Matt and I were both right. Headhunter, your favorite album by Krokus. I also wanted to touch really quick on the cover songs you guys have chose to cover throughout the years. I mean, we just mentioned the Bachman Turner Overdrive, Stayed Awake All Night. You did Sweet Ballroom Blitz, Alice Cooper, School's Out. I mean, was that like the record company saying maybe cover a song here and there? And on the new album, it's The Beatles' Help. So tell us a little bit about that real quick.
Well, as regards our covers, Fernando was mainly the guy who wanted to go for Stay Awake All Night, because he's a Bachman Turner Overdrive Bachman fan, and also the song, my favorite cover we ever did together was American Woman, you know, by the Guess Who. And this was also an idea Fernando had, and there was another song we did later on called "You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet" from the same songwriter.
Yeah, exactly.
And they really cook. These songs, they've got a good groove, really great to play live. But I think American Woman still beats them all for me as a singer. And I managed to evolve my singing melody, my vocal melody to fit live, so that it's possible for me to sing it the same way more or less every night. And it went on to Alice's Schools Out and the Beatles, as you said, Help. With the Help song, it was also a thing where, because we recorded Dirty Dynamite, the last studio album was recorded in Abbey Road Studios, partly. That means I recorded all my lead vocals there. We decided, well, why not a Beatles song, And we went for Help because it's a song which had been tried before. Deep Purple, in the very early days, did with a singer who is still unknown today. If you go on YouTube, you can hear a version of Help, which was slowed down. And John Lord said, God rest his soul, this song has so much color, but it's too fast. It was too fast, and for it, the intensity of the colors of the chords and everything to shine better, we decided to slow it down. And we decided to have another go at it, and also because the lyrics fit Krokus. It's not just I love you, yeah. It's when I was young and so much younger than today, which is like a statement coming from Krokus. We're over 60 and still pumping.
I know
it's
hard to believe. Like, you see a lot of people that are in their 60s, and then you go back to your favorite musicians in the 80s, and they're all in their 60s still playing hard rock and heavy metal, and it's really amazing that you guys are still on the scene playing live shows.
Well, we'll do it as long as we can.